Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning, and welcome to a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Tuesday. We'll have Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. Gators report this morning. I believe Coach Napier and some of the players will be open to some media questions, and they crank up football practice tomorrow. So we're like 32 days away, I believe, from Gators versus Miami Hurricanes. Let's go to the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and we're joined by host, the legend of the Buddy Martin Show. You can listen to that Monday through Thursday nights live on YouTube, Facebook Live, all those different podcast platforms. Good morning, buddy. How you doing?
Good morning, Shane. It's finally here. Yes, you're correct. They report today. The team reports today, but there's no major deal in terms of practice until tomorrow. There is a press conference this morning, probably while you're on the air. Billy's going to address the media along with Russ Callaway, Ron Roberts, Tyler Miles, and Joe Houston. I think most Gator fans know who they are, but think of all those, the guy I'm interested in hearing from is Ron Roberts. He's the guy who's going to be the big dog for the defense. So it could be an interesting day. It will be an interesting day. Gators have 29 days to get in 25 practices before Miami, or as you call it, Armageddon, on the 31st of August and the season over. I say, bring it on. I'm ready. I had a meeting with myself this morning about 4:30. Woke up and thought about all these years we've been doing this. And, it's time to snap this streak of 3 non-winning seasons, break the cycle of mediocrity, and restore the dignity to the Florida football program. Otherwise, we have to admit Florida football has regressed to the level of post-World War II mediocrity and Bob Woodruff. So I'm not willing to accept that. I'm looking forward to this season. I'm starting with my glass or my cup well over half full, and I intend to enjoy it and let the season come to me, embrace it as a journalist and a fan. I think that's what's important, to get the joy. And I'm going to talk about this week. I'm going to write about it, about expectations, what you expect. You don't get it sometimes, what happens. And this is where Gator fans are. They're right on the fence right now, trying to decide which way to go, Shane. It's going to be a fascinating season.
Yeah, I'm excited. As I said, you got to be optimistic. We have people that listen to this program that are negative quite sometimes. And, whether you like Billy Napier, you don't like the quarterback, you don't like the left tackle, the starting guard, whatever, if that's your team, you got to put all that aside and root for them and hope they win as many games as possible. So, as I said on your program last night, embrace the schedule. We don't know how hard the schedule is, buddy. It may be an easy schedule for all we know. Hell,
It's not easy, but it's not going to be the hardest of all time.
No, I'm just saying we don't know how those teams are going to turn out. We don't know how the Gators are going to turn out. All you can do is, and I said this, and every team in America can say this, everybody predicts or looks at what happened last year, right? Gators go 5-7. The Gators make a field goal against Arkansas. The Gators stop a 4th and 16. They go 7-5. I believe the national narrative going into this season is totally different if you win those two games. Now, there are other games that we could have said, well, we could have lost those games. Every team can look at each game and say, if this play or that play changes the outcome of our season. I get that. But we're talking about the Gators. And the Gators, in my opinion, should have easily been 7-5 last year. Okay. And I think the national media would be looking at this season a little bit different if they were coming off a 7-5 season. I'm going to stand on it again, and I'm going to say I think the two teams that are clearly better than the Gators are the Georgia Bulldogs and the Texas Longhorns. I don't know how Texas is going to play week in and week out in the SEC. I do know they got a damn good quarterback. I like Sarkisian as a play caller and a coach. But everybody else, in my opinion, is beatable. And I'm not saying we're going to go 10-2, but it's possible. Okay. And as I said on your show last night, no matter what everybody says on my show, whether it's me, you, listeners, or says on the Paul Feinbaum show, says on some show out in Colorado or California about the Florida Gators, none of it matters. All that matters is what those 85 scholarship players and about 30 walk-ons and then the coaching staff, those guys expect to have a good season, regardless of what everybody on the outside says. And that's how everybody feels right now in America. So, as I said, embrace the schedule and let's go have some fun and see what happens this year.
I like that attitude. Like what you say. I'm with you. You have the task of calling the games, watching it unfold live right before your eyes, and you're not necessarily sure what you're going to see. I'm going to write all week and talk about expectations. I went to a seminar once in Florida in the National Sports Writers Association, but there was a shrink from Philadelphia who talked to the wives of the sports editors, who said the biggest problem you have with stress is expectations. You set your expectations at a certain level. With that comes stress. And I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to look at this realistically. Look, there's no denying the fact. Look, this has been a long drink of water for us Gator fans. I more than most. And if you go back to the day, and I'm not going to go give you a history lesson today, but, it really wasn't until 1960 this program even woke up, except for a couple of blips like 1927, what have you. Georgia Tech sent us Ray Graves, who was your coach's coach, and we began to know the difference. Graves taught us how to win without cheating, how to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, got to major bowl games, brought us Spurrier, and changed the dynamics. But since that time, we've had some glory days of Coach Spurrier and Urban Meyer, what have you, but we have regressed. And that's why our expectations are important. And Shane, those expectations really somewhat are based on how old you are and what era you grew up in.
Very true. On Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, John Brock says, Diddy Pickle from On3 projected the Gators to go 7-5 with losses to Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, and FSU.
Okay.
Somebody else asked here, says we got 7 home games. What do I think our record will be defending the Swamp? Robert on Facebook Live this is on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. As I've said, the 7 teams rolling into Gainesville, I think we can beat every one of them. And this is not being a homer. Look, I've said it. I feel like I say it every time on this show. I think Lane Kiffin's an outstanding football coach. Mm-hmm. Now, he does make some bonehead decisions. Mm-hmm. People talk about coaching decisions at times. But Ole Miss is at a peak now where there's probably more pressure on Lane Kiffin than he's ever had at Ole Miss because of the high expectations. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat, but they get demolished by the other teams. It'll be interesting to see late in the year what Ole Miss's record is coming in here. Their first 4 or 5 games, we could roll out a high school team and beat some of those teams. Do I think we can beat Ole Miss at home? Absolutely. I think we can beat Florida State. I think Florida State, and I could be 100% wrong, and we'll find out here in about 2 weeks when they play Georgia Tech in Ireland. Georgia Tech's better than people think. I think that game's going to be close. I really do. I am not sold on Florida State with DJ Uiagalelei at quarterback. And I could be 100% wrong. And if he proves me wrong, I will admit it. But I don't think he's a very good player,
to say his name. I mean, that impresses me right there that you can say it.
Well, I don't know if I said it correctly.
Well,
I said it, but
ask me.
I
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think good point. If I can just inject something here to you, you mentioned Ole Miss. I think that's a good example of expectation. Your dad was an Ole Miss guy back in the day. People don't realize how great that program was. Johnny Vogt won 6 SECs. Uh, we hit Ole Miss at Oxford back in '66, believe it or not, when Johnny Vaught was the coach there, and integration had changed the dynamics of football completely and impacted Ole Miss. But Shane, you were not born yet, but your family grew up in an era of expectations, of championships, Ole Miss football. And it's been a long time since you had that glory. You had a taste of it here and there. And not unlike Florida. I mean, look, we know what Urban and Steve did, and as I reflect on this morning, sitting up at 4:30, thinking, what is this like? What's it been like these last 2 years? I've known feast and I've known famine, and Ray Graves turned it around for a lot of us in those days. But the fact is that even with Steve Spurrier, the greatness of Spurrier, and with Urban winning 2 natties, whatever, you still back facing that M word, mediocrity, mediocrity. And it's the 3 M's that brought it to us. All right. Muschamp, McElwain, and Mullen. So the question is, what do we have here? Do we have mediocrity? What's the old saying about a duck? Looks like mediocrity, walks like mediocrity, must be mediocrity. I hate that about this program, how far it's dropped. This is why this is such a critical era for Florida football right now and make or break for many people.
I agree. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel. I think everyone can agree that Billy has upgraded the talent. It comes down to his game day coaching, in his opinion. I agree somewhat to that, John. Here's what it comes down to.
Well, that's true of every coach.
7 on defense.
Every coach. It's every coach.
It comes down, but no. You can still make dumb decisions. It comes down to the play of the front 7 on defense. If our front 7 on defense can play halfway SEC caliber type of play, this team will win a lot of games. You know, I don't know how many shows you've been on, buddy, the shows that I go on. Everybody wants to talk about how much Lagway's going to play. Hell, he may not play at all. I don't really care.
He's going to play. Billy has said he's going to play. Billy has said he's going to play.
That's fine. But I'm saying that has no bearing on this year's team.
No,
what has the bearing on this year's team is, can you get off the field on 3rd down, and can you slow somebody down and make them drive the length of the field? And maybe, hey, how about give the offense a short field every now and then? But it comes down to the front 7 of the Florida Gator defense. If they play above average, this team will win a lot of games. I firmly believe that. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. We got Buddy Martin here on the Titan More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. All right, buddy, we got a couple of texts on the Titan More text line for you. Let me pull them up here. This is from John in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, John.
He says, buddy, do you have any concerns on Ben Sass resigning and Dr. Fox back as the president?
I'd say concern, yes. I don't predict doom and gloom. I have said on this show and your show many times, every coach and athletic director I've ever known, administrators say, the way you have to win is alignment. You have to have your president, your AD, and your coach all in working off the same sheet. Now, I think from the standpoint of Scott Strickland, it's probably going to be helpful to him because he has a relationship with the previous president. I didn't know Ben Sass. I like the things I heard about him. Forget politics, folks. Get the politics out of it. Simply what's better for football. I'm disappointed at some of the things that his predecessor did, like killing the Gator bait cheer and things of that nature. But we'll see. I have concern, but I'm not overly concerned because the president doesn't win and lose football games.
Yeah. Justin on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, don't care what PFS says about this O-line. It's a big question mark. They will get tested right out of the gate against Miami. Yeah, if people missed it, Pro Football Focus has the Gators offensive line rated in the top 10 or number 10, somewhere around there. So they made some additions in the portal, some guys that have played, especially at the tackle position.
Right.
But yeah, the trenches are crucial. I'm more worried about the trenches on the defense than I am the offense.
You talked about that a lot, and I think Roberts is really going to be I can't wait to see. I guess he's the godfather of that defense, the creeper. And I want to see what he does. I mean, one thing I do know, they'll be tackling better for sure. They'll be better at certain positions like safety. I'm really anxious to see how these linebackers work out. Excited about the future. Not sure they got what they need right now to win at the highest level. But I mean, look, it's all experimental season. Getting to that 1 point past the halfway mark, Shane, we talked about it all year long. If they can just get there with a shot to win 1 or 2 games in the back half, this is going to be a good year for Florida football. And it's going to be one that I think we can return to maybe enjoying Florida football, as you say, embrace the schedule.
Yeah, I can't. I'm so damn excited about the schedule. You know, as I said, pull up Ole Miss's schedule and tell me about the first 4 or 5 games. I mean, people are going to show up at the Grove and go to it, but there won't be people in the stands half the game. So anyway, we have another text on the Titanamar text line from Bob. He says, "Buddy, have you ever had a one-on-one interview with Billy Napier?"
No, I have not, and probably not going to get it. I don't think it's going to happen. He's past that time now, and I'm not important to anybody. I've been fortunate enough to have had one-on-ones, I believe, with every coach since Bob Woodruff. Some better than others, and the relationships better than others. But I don't think Billy's into that kind of stuff. He picks his guys like Josh Pate or National, and it's a new SID. We'll see where Mr. Burns puts us. But I don't expect that will happen, and I really am not setting my cap toward it.
Yeah, somebody on here said Fox needs to bring back the Gator bait chant. I agree. That will not happen. All right, Daryl says on the Titanamar text line, "I think some of our fan base came in during the Spur and Meyer era. I understand they aren't used to losing, but us older Gator fans remember when making a bowl game back in the day was great."
Yeah, that's
someone agree with that comment.
So exactly my point. What I'm going to write about tonight and during the week. You don't understand, folks. 500 was the norm. Getting to a bowl game and winning was a bonus. When Spurrier was there, they went to the Orange Bowl and beat Georgia Tech. It was a huge thing. Steve going to the Sugar Bowl, Steve's junior year, when he almost won the game. And unfortunately, the offensive coaches decided to go for 2 after every score in the fourth quarter. You know that story. They lost the game by about 2 points. But Steve was voted the most valuable player.
Were they talking about at the press conference and on all the talk shows back in the 60s about the coaching decisions?
Well, there weren't. Yes, they were, but there weren't that many programs.
I know. I'm teasing.
I happened to, by the way, know who made the call, and I went and talked to him. Ed Kinster, my friend, the offensive coordinator. They were getting their brains beat out, 20-0, and so he figured, well, if we got to get some points here, and so he made the decision early to go for it 2 and didn't make it. You know the story. Steve went for it 3 times, didn't make it 3 times, but he had a brilliant fourth quarter, and still is the only losing player to ever win the MVP award in the Sugar Bowl.
Robert asked on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, will Tate Casey be the sideline reporter for me and Sean? Yeah, as far as I know, I would assume Tate does a good job. But as far as I know, we got the same crew coming back. Buddy, we do have we'll get back to the Gators here in just a second. Obviously, if people miss it, today is reporting day. Billy will be talking to the media here momentarily, and then they start practice tomorrow. This question from Sharon, she wants to know, buddy, I would love your thoughts on the opening ceremonies at the Olympics.
You know, there are 2 things I want to get to before I get off here. One is that, and the second one is baseball. When your team has a fire sale and sells all your good players, and how, as a fan, how debilitating that can be, as Rays fans are about the latest fire sale, losing Arozarena, losing our best pitcher, probably going to lose several other players without realizing it. Look, here's the deal on the opening ceremonies. It's easy to take one thing and cast a pall over the whole thing. I get it. I didn't see the segment they're talking about, which was the satire or the thing they did on the Last Supper, which offended a lot of people, almost every Christian. I didn't even see it yet. I heard about it from my friends who were outraged about it. Many people have pulled their advertisement because of it. And clearly, it was somebody made a decision about that. Who knows how it got approved? They did it. And I don't like to comment on things I haven't seen, but it offended a lot of people. Advertising was pulled. But let me just say from the aesthetic standpoint, two things important. Number one, I can't deny the beauty of what I saw in my eyes. The spectacular setting of those ships coming down the Seine, the Seine River, and with each country on it. It was spectacular. The Eiffel Tower was wonderful. Aesthetically, it was beautiful. It was really incredible to watch. And the second thing is, and this is for you, Shane, if you value the competitive spirit and the effort it takes to be really good, to be the best at what you do, the amount of work that goes in that, the training it requires for 4 years to get there, then you have to respect what you see on the screen of these athletes. I mean, the gymnastics team, Simone was unbelievable. What she did, she went out and got hurt her ankle. They didn't know she'd be able to compete. She competed at the highest level. She was unbelievable. The guts she showed there was incredible. The swimming was interesting, fascinating. There's a lot of great things to watch athletically on there. Forget about the politics and the unfortunate thing that they did on the screen for a minute. I don't believe in taking one little small segment and spearing the whole thing because of it. I admire the athletes. I admire what they trying to do there aesthetically, and I have watched a lot of it. And if you'd like to compete, you need to get to know who these people are, these athletes. They are phenomenal.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, these people are the best in the world. You know what I don't like about the Olympics, and there's nothing you can do about it. It'll be great in 4 years because I do not like knowing the outcome when I watch it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the problem.
I know it's one of the problems
of that nature.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I
just
watch it at
I
nighttime.
can't
You already
stand
know
that.
what happened.
Yeah, it's not fun at all for me. When
I was
I
able to
watch
cover
that.
the 84 Olympics, and I was in LA, and it was great, to do that. I've covered Winter Olympics, what have you, but it is a spectacular thing that they do. How they pull it all together, even when there are bad mistakes, is phenomenal.
Yeah. Cliff says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, I feel bad for the athletes because they had nothing to do with the crap that was presented during the opening ceremony. Agree. It's really interesting that all that stuff got approved by whoever's in charge of the opening ceremony. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
All right, buddy, real quick, on the Titan MR text line, Gary wants to know, buddy, is this the most important opening game that the Gators have ever had, in your opinion?
I don't know if I can say that or not, but I mean, it certainly is one of them because I don't value Miami as much as everybody does. I mean, when did Miami become Alabama? I wrote about it this week. I mean, yeah, it's two programs going the opposite way. They're in-state rivalries, although not that much anymore. They both coaches need to win, and it's a huge game. But listen, no, because they could lose that game and technically still win the SEC. And Coach Spurrier always told us that's what counts. It's a critical opener. It's big. It sets the tone. I don't believe it is. You know why? They beat Utah, and look what our expectations were, right? And the final thing for you is, Shane, I don't know where you fall in there. You're not a Gen Xer, you're not a millennial, whatever you are. But since you came along and ruined it for everybody else in 1990, all these Gator fans think this is the norm, that you went out and won the SECs. But, again, it depends. Are you a boomer, a Gen Xer, a millennial, whatever you are? And like I said, some people woke up on third base and think they hit a triple. This is how Florida football ought to be. Well, guess what? That's your expectation. You better get real with it if you want to enjoy this game.
Well, what if we win the SEC this year?
Good. And you know what? I've learned one thing from Coach Spurrier. Never say never. You never know what might happen. I'm a believer until you put the ball down and take the snaps, play the game. You don't know what's going to happen. Let's play them to find out.
Barone says if they can't beat Miami, they aren't going to win 5 games. Miami's about the 8th best. Okay, so I want to address that question.
All right.
How many times have you seen, whether it's in high school football, college football, pro football, the team starts 0-1? Is their season over? No.
No, of course not.
You have to regroup and go play the rest of your games. Obviously, you just brought up a good point, buddy. We upset Utah in Billy's first year when they were like number 7 in America. Everybody got all excited, and then what did we end up? I think we were like 1-3 at one time. So
expectation.
I can promise you this: win, lose, or draw, the team is going to prepare for game 2 against Sanford. No matter what, they're going to prepare the same, and that's the difference when you've been in the locker room and you've done it your whole life. Because you're not going to win every game. I mean, obviously that's the goal, but how do you bounce back after a devastating loss? But I still think we have to beat Miami. I think we do beat Miami.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's doable. Forget Miami. Let's talk about Georgia and Texas and what have you. Miami's just one game. It's the opening game. It's important, but it's certainly not as big as those other games.
No, it's not. I mean, you just want to start on a good note at the beginning of the year. There was one other thing I wanted to get with you, buddy, and I can't remember what it was before I get you out of here. Somebody had a question for you. Let me find it real quick. Well, Robert says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Shane, at least you will be in the press box when we play Mississippi State. I don't know if I can handle the cowbells in the stands. Yeah, it's a good environment. My daughter will be in the stands with her cowbell, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, they're ringing cowbells over there in the United States too in the Olympics. The Australians are getting sick of it. Yeah.
Oh, they do. The Americans do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tony says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, I know a lot of fans think it's beneath us to play Miami, but I wish we started with them or another big game every season. Makes the all season more fun. Agree.
Yeah, we like that.
I'm trying to think, buddy, you would know this. I think it was during Zucker. Is that the last time Miami rolled into the swamp?
You may be right.
We played them a couple of years ago, but it was in Orlando.
In Orlando, right? Yeah, and won. I'm not good on remembering things like that. It does seem like it was a year. I have to look it up, Shane. Don't ever ask me and test my memory at my age, but it sounds right. It sounds right.
All right, buddy. I want you to hear This Day in Sports, which brought to us by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union. In 1982, the Atlanta Braves removed Chief Nakahoma to make room for more seats. I was trying to remember this. Was it the Indians or the Braves? I mean, I grew up watching the Braves. Wasn't Chief Nakahoma out in left field with his TP, or was that the Indians?
I think that might have been the Indians.
Well, where was Chief Nakahoma located? Because they got rid of him to make room for more seats.
Well, we've got some smart people out there, smarter than me, with better memory. Shane, don't trust me on it. I didn't follow it that closely. I'm a baseball fan, though, as you know. I'm still upset about what they did getting rid of Randy Arozarena. And did you see what he did? He came back the next night and sat in the stands with his family after getting traded and sat there.
Really?
Yeah, his wife was crying. His little girl was in his lap. I've never seen that in my life. And even Dwayne Stats says, I've never seen it. A guy gets traded and comes back and sits in the stands the next night. Man, that was impressive.
Do you think he got some comp tickets from one of his old teammates?
Yeah, he had that whole left field section out there in Randyland, all those people bought those tickets because they wanted to be close to him. He did a great job of developing fans. A guy who couldn't even speak English. He's beloved. And what he did, he'll never be forgotten. I tell you what, I'm really ticked off at the Rays right now. I know they're going to probably trade Yandy Diaz too. And so here we go. It's a strip down, man. I hate that about it. I hate that about professional sports. And so I guess we better get used to it, though, in college, too, because now you can lose a whole team as well.
Yeah, Barone says Chief Nakahoma had a TP and a big drum out there. I thought so.
And
Okay,
Braves,
buddy,
was it
real quick.
Braves? Was it Braves? Was it
Yeah, the
Braves?
Braves. Yeah.
Okay.
Before we let you go again, I keep saying we're going to let you go, but we just got another text. This is from Larry. Larry says, buddy, what is your prediction where the Gators finish in the SEC? Now, remember, buddy, there's 16 teams.
I know the popular projection was 12th. That's where a lot of people picked them. I'm gonna
I've
say
seen 10, anywhere between 10 or 12.
I would say, yeah, I'm gonna say 10. I like that.
But if you finish like 8th or 9th, you're going to be ranked in the top 20.
I
You know
know
that.
that's why you can't be in. It's amazing what's going to happen. People, I don't think it's hit people yet. What's going to happen at the end of the year when they start watching all these teams make the playoffs? And somebody who hasn't won a conference championship game could be a champion, which has happened before. And by the way, I'm afraid what might happen eventually to the championship games because of that. Be careful what you ask for, Shane, because it could change the game. It has already changed the game. Didn't you say the other day that South Carolina didn't play their three biggest rivals this year? Who else? Florida? Who else?
They don't play Florida, Tennessee, or Georgia.
Yeah, wow. That's different.
But I will tell you this. I don't think anything will ever happen to the SEC championship game because of the money it brings in. And I'm telling you, it's the greatest sporting event in our country. There's nothing like the SEC championship game. I've said it multiple times on this program. I've been to national championships. I've been to Final Fours. I've been to Super Bowls. Nothing compares to the SEC championship.
Shane, when you played in it, Coach Spurrier felt like it was a national championship when you played in the SEC. He set his eyes toward that first and foremost. Because back in his day, the BCS, when you guys played, you had no guarantee of getting there. So the SEC was everything, and still is to a degree.
Yeah. All right. Charlie asked on Facebook, on YouTube. I'm so confused. On the Titanamar text line. He says, buddy, if you were at the presser today and you had one question to ask Billy Napier, what would it be? Pretty good answer. Big question from him.
What can we expect out of the defense and Ron Roberts, and how much better do you think they will be? And then I would ask you about the tackling and what have you. I would focus on the defense. As you say, Shane, that's where the season is going to be decided. The offense is going to be okay. I think I'm confident. And I'm with you on that. I'm some young players I can't wait to see, like Jaden Ball. I can't wait to see him play. But defensively is going to be it. I would ask Billy, how confident are you on a scale of 1 to 10 that your defense is fixed?
Yep, that's the big question. And Cornelius chimed in saying the TP was in left field of Atlanta County, Fulton County Stadium. I thought I remembered that correctly. All right, buddy. Who you got on your program tonight?
David Whitley's back. He's been gone for a couple of weeks, and Coach Lauren Meadows will break it down. We'll talk about what went on today and the press conferences with our staff, and come join us at 9 o'clock. And by the way, for those who keep asking me how you subscribe to GatorBait, go to GatorBaitMedia.com and pick out your deal and join us. We have a good time. You get stuff there you don't get anyplace else, and looking forward to this season in a big way.
All right, buddy. Appreciate your time. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, Shane. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titanamar hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. Come back. You got me, folks. I got a lot of stuff to get to here. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as possible, give you my thoughts. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bill.
Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Our Gridiron sponsors, Sutter Pro Painters, Comfort Temp,
Florida Victorious,
UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45. Our touchdown sponsors are Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Neston Wild.
If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
All right, team. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill gift cards. 20% off. On one. Ready. Break.
Score big with the Foodie Fans during our Christmas and July special for a limited time.
Just until the end of July.
Use code GC20 to get 20% off any gift cards for Spurrier's. Good for food, drinks, and merchandise. Stop by Spurrier's in Celebration Point or go to Spurriers.com and send an e-card with a few quick clicks. Use code GC20 and get 20% off. A Spurrier's gift card will have any Gator fan cheering like it's 1996. Go to Spurriers.com right now and get your gift card today.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Couple of YouTube questions here I wanted to get to. Conyer Ron says, this is brought to you by Quality Plumbing. What is the dynamic between Armstrong and Ron Roberts? Armstrong will be calling the plays. What's Roberts' game day role? So here's how it works. Yeah, Armstrong will still be doing the signals and calling the defensive plays. When you're a defensive coordinator, it's the same offensive coordinator. Everybody on the defense, when you get together during the week and you put your plan together, everybody watches tape. So each position coach on the defense side of the ball has a responsibility. One may be red zone defense, one may be third downs, one may be 2-minute, whatever. Then they put all the data together and they come up with a plan. So it's not just one guy deciding on what's going on. Ron Roberts has been around the block. He's kind of an analyst. I don't know what his actual title is. I don't know what his role is, but he's going to be very involved in the game planning on defense, looking at the tendencies of what the opposing offense does. Can we take advantage of this left tackle? Is the center worth a crap? Should we put somebody, right on top of him? Can he snap with the guy on his head or do it? There's a million things they look at. So with his experience, he's going to help Austin Armstrong make some decisions. That is what I'm guessing. That's all the teams that I've been involved with. That's how it works. And it's the same way on offense. It's not like Billy sits in his office on Sunday night preparing for Miami and he's just going to put a plan together and not talk to anybody on offense. That's not the way it works. The O-line coaches will talk about the run game. The wide receiver coach usually does a red zone period. They break down the red zones, whether it's the 25 going in, the tight red zone, 10 and in. And then you have the running back coach is in charge of, say, the blitz. What blitzes do they run? So they all put their data together and then they come up with their plan. So I don't know if I answered your question, Conyer Ron, but that's how it usually works. And I assume that's how it's going to work for the Gators. Barone71 on YouTube says, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says Florida should cut a big NIL deal with Gatorade like Memphis did with FedEx and just have the fans chant Gatorade rather than Gator Bait. Yeah, you would have thought I think Gatorade got sold. I don't think they really have a whole lot to do with the university anymore, which is a shame because they should be huge corporate sponsor, in my opinion. It would just make sense. All right, let's see here. I'm going to tighten up our text line. Pulling it up. There's a bunch of them here. This is from Hunt. Hunt says, "Hi, Shane. With training camp upon us, what is the start of it like for QBs? What's it like with all the meetings and practice this time of year compared to meetings and practice during the regular season?" There's not a whole lot of difference. What they're doing, what they'll do tonight in meetings is they'll install the first day of practice. They'll put in like 2 or 3 3-step drops, 2 or 3 5-step drop pass plays. They'll put in like 3 maybe running plays, and you go practice those. And then you come back, you watch the tape, make your corrections, you reinstall them, and then you add a few more plays. That's how most teams did it. Practice is not fun. Meetings are not fun, but it's something you do. You just try to get through training camp. Training camp is brutal, and it wears on your body, but they get plenty of rest. They get plenty of food. It's totally changed. I mean, when I got here at Florida in '88, we used to practice 3 times a day, and now they hardly even practice twice a day. I don't even think they're allowed to. So times have changed, but it's just majority of the meetings, they can wear and tear on a young kid, especially a high school kid coming in who's not used to it. At least if you're an early enrollee, you kind of got a taste of it during spring ball. But spring ball is nothing like training camp. So these kids that weren't here in the spring, they're going to need to make sure they're not falling asleep in meetings, because you do not meet like this in high school at all, ever, anywhere. So that's the biggest thing, is just the young kids have to adjust. This is from someone talking about a potential guest, Mackenzie Barney, former U.S. soccer player who cycled much of the world and produced a documentary. It'd be a good non-football conversation. Okay, I'll have somebody look into that. But it's football season, so that's all people want to talk about right now. Pioneer Ron says Pepsi owns the Gatorade brand. That's why we serve Pepsi at Gator games. That is true. But I think we're trying to change. We could be possibly changing to Coke. Jack says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, any idea what the coach's plan is to prevent serious injuries during fall camp? There's really nothing you can do. It's the training and strength coach's job to get the players in shape, which they've done all summer. And then it's kind of the roll of the dice. There's not a whole lot of hitting in today's football in practice. They hardly ever take anybody to the ground. They never do in practice. They'll have 2 scrimmages. I think it's 2 scrimmages coming up before the opener. They'll usually be live on everybody, unless you have like a kill shot. You're not allowed to take a kill shot on a player, but you will have tackling in that. Quarterbacks obviously will not be live, but there's hardly any hitting in today's football. The tackling is usually done on dummies nowadays. They have different types of dummies that are high tech, just to keep people from getting hurt. But it's usually a roll of the dice. We had a couple of devastating injuries last year in some scrimmages. Hopefully that will not happen this year. Marlon says, you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Very true. Very true. I'm excited about the season. I know a lot of people are. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are wanting us to lose so they can get rid of their coach, which makes absolutely no sense to me. Why would you want to lose? If you've been complaining about losing, why would you want to continue losing? I do think this is Billy Napier's best team he's had since he's been here. I think, as he stated, everybody on this team chose to be a Gator, and all the coaches chose these players. You can say what you want to say about coaching, whatever, but honestly, the last 2 years, we have not had great talent, and it's shown because we have not had guys go play at the next level. Best players in the world go play at the next level. And last year, I think we only had 1 player drafted, and he was damn good, and I think he's a top 10 receiver to ever play at the school. And I think he'll be a tremendous pro for a long, long time. Much better talent this year, for sure. there was a Facebook Live I needed to. Oh, Tony says he hasn't been this offended since Buddy said the softball program was not elite. He's referring to the Olympics. David says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, President Fox has a chance to redeem his legacy by bringing back Gator bait. I would love for that to happen. I don't think it would happen. I just say hell with it, ban. Just play it. Just play it. Let's see what happens. What are they going to do? Run the ban out of there during the middle of the game? Are we going to find the ban? What are we going to do? Reggie on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. So Shane, do we have the depth to be competitive and win enough games this year? That's the question. When our linebackers and D-line go down, do we have the backups to not skip? We do this year. I still don't know if they're elite SEC players, but we do. I'm excited, as I said, I think on yesterday's program with Graham Hall, the two players that I'm extremely excited about to see how they play, Pup Howard at linebacker, transfer from South Carolina out of Jacksonville, and LJ McCray. I think those two guys really need to make a difference. And obviously the safeties, DJ Douglas and Asa Turner, I'm excited for those guys. It's all about defense for me. All about the defense. If we don't play decent defense, I just said decent, it'll be a long year. If we can play average or better, we got a chance to have a hell of a year. For sure. CertaPro Painters of Gainesville is the area's leader in painting excellence and proud partner of the Florida Gators, offering professional painting services for homes and businesses, plus cabinet refinishing and carpentry repairs. Visit CertaPro.com for a free estimate. Mark says Pearsall has been injured at Frisco. What happened? I think he tweaked his hamstring. So what they'll do with him being a wide receiver, there's no reason to rush him back. Make sure that thing heals up so it doesn't linger throughout the season. Tanya Ron, who keeps harping on the same point, Napier has a lot to prove and demonstrate some winning ways in play calling. This season schedule will certainly provide that opportunity. Again, I don't give two craps about his play calling, people. Have y'all not watched how we've lost games the last 2 years? We have not played any defense. And I'm not talking about play, 85 Bear defense. I'm talking about not be 80th to 100th in the country in defense. But that's just my opinion. Everybody has their opinions. Everybody worries about play calling. I'm as big criticizer of play calling, and could play calling be better? Absolutely could. Hell, you could say Andy Reid could plays better. When they were struggling offensively and they won a Super Bowl. So that's all everybody wants to talk about is play calling. Let's talk about stopping somebody on 3rd and 5. Let's get off the field. Let's force a punt. Then play calling becomes real easy. Buck says, let's just get through camp with no injuries. I agree. Don't forget, tomorrow, JC and I will have the Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. That'd be Peachland Dental golf picks, which we've been on fire. I guess we got to pick Olympics. There is no PGA event this week. So, yeah. Frank's question on the Titan MR text line, it's a good one. How difficult will it be for Badger to get up to speed since he wasn't here in the spring? It won't be hard. He's a veteran. Football's football. You just have to, in your mind, everybody runs the same plays. You just have to figure out what the terminology is now and put it in the back of your mind. Okay, when they call this is what it was when I used to play at this school. But yeah, it should not take him much time to get up to speed, in my opinion. Daryl says on the Titan MR text line, and I stopped by the first day of football practice for Clay High School, and thought went through my mind, how many of these kids are going to get NIL deals? That is one of the dumbest things the FHSA has ever done. Yeah, it's all over, but I don't think many of them will. You may get the local Subway or a local car dealer that just wants to throw that kid some dollars to keep him at your school, possibly, if Fleming Island, so to speak, or Middleburg or somebody else in Clay County is trying to pull one of the better players from the Blue Devils. That's what happens. And, the transfer portal is in full effect in high school sports all over the country, especially in the state of Florida. As long as you can get transportation to a school, you can go to those schools. So I don't agree with it either. But anybody that pays any high school kids they need to check themselves. Makes no sense to me at all. Justin says it's ironic that Charlie Weiss Jr. turned down the OC job at Florida this season. I was not aware of that. That's the first I've heard of it. Anybody else got information on that? Never heard that. Justin says Florida laid an egg on offense against Kentucky and Utah last year. Can't have that again. I agree, but you're not going to play great offense every week. But I agree 1,000%. We did not play well in those two games. We played okay on defense because both of those teams were absolutely awful on offense. There were two offenses that had no idea what they were doing in those games. But I will say this: you're not going to play well in every game. Find me a team that has done that. When you go back to Urban's first national championship year, those teams won so many close games and got lucky in a lot of them. You got to be very fortunate to have special years. The ball has to bounce your way. You have to win a bunch of close games. And so anyway, be optimistic. If you're not, as I said, you have every right to be negative, but go root for somebody else. I don't know how you can root against your team. Tropical Smoothie, live a healthier lifestyle with our bold, flavorful smoothies and our amazing food. Tropical Smoothie, when you eat better, you feel better. Maybe some of our fans need to eat a Tropical Smoothie. Yeah, so my producer looked it up. Charlie Weiss was never offered the job. I don't know where that came from. Kentucky ran the ball down our throats. That game was on the defense. Well, that's true too, Kevin. That was on the Titan and Mark text line. Look, it's a team game, but as I said, and I will stand on my grave, the Gators' problem the last 2 or 3 years, they've lost a bunch of football games. We have been way, way, way below average on defense. I'm talking pathetic, historical numbers. All right. Michael says, was Shane Edge on a character in the locker room? He's a couple years younger than me. He's a punter. Punters and kickers kind of do their own thing, so you didn't really see them a lot in the locker room because their practice schedule was different. So a lot of times they'd get to leave practice early. When you're practicing over in the practice field, they're over in the swamp kicking and punting, and then you never see them again. Kickers and punters are totally different and kind of have a different set schedule. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Appreciate everybody chiming in. Make sure you tune in to get the comments from Billy Napier and the rest of the staff today. Tomorrow, Gators hit the practice field. Should be an exciting time. Embrace the schedule. Embrace it, and look forward to it. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.